Chapter 1. Sample Death Sample Story. Mao Son is peeling devils into Chow District. There's a remote village called Deepjia Hamlet. Based on customs of this village, at night, each house must be in front of the door to burn 2 bundles of money paper, a bunch of offerings. Another is for her to cross the road. Money. The paper is intended for family members to facilitate their departure, without any difficulty way down. After burning the paper money, every family closed the door, fastened and then rested. Believers in the faith still plead in the house, pray for tonight, overcome peace. Late at night, a thunderstorm rained up, striking the rustling leaves of a fence like a sound. She was a ghost, walking in the wind, sobbing like coal, crying, making her pregnant. The abnormal atmosphere here was even more abnormal. On a small road to the village, a vague image in the rain is hidden as currently out of the village, directly climbed behind the mountain, straight into one grave. This grave belongs to the ancestors of Deep family. Buried the dead of Deep family, 100 years. The shadow goes to the front of the grave without a steel. One the flag drew its soul to its head, standing in the wind, shaking hands and calling for demons. On the new ground of the grave, there has never been any necromantic flag, proving this is a new tomb. Second pipe. Today is 7 days of the pipe. Recently, devil, I came here to visit. The voice is husky, sounds no more than 40 years old. The man standing in front of the grave was silent for a moment, and then took off a red umbrella from on his back, placed the grave in front of the wind to cover the rain. Then take care. Prong takes out 3 incense sticks plugged into the mud. He did not care muddy, knelt down and bowed 3 times, then stood up to take out a shovel curve. Began excavating the grave. The tomb is originally new soil. It has been soaked in rainwater. The soil is extremely porous. No more than 20 minutes have been dug a hole. Wipe away the mud layer. A coffin, blood red, beautiful and steamy. The entire coffin was painted a deep red. The bright red paint indicated sudden death, resentment to heavy, dense red, greatly affecting the town evil. Not only that, the coffin was still wrapped with 30 red threads on it everywhere, like a net firmly surrounded the coffin. Like fear, the people in the coffin crawled out. The man turned to the coffin and bowed, muttering in his mouth, "Second pipe, I come to help the pipe." He took out a dagger, cut the thread by red thread. Then use a taper to pry 7 nails 7 inches high on the coffin. Take a deep breath. Shock the coffin up. The 5th of September 2020. Chapter 1. Sample Death Sample. Mao Son Peels the Devil. Fortune up. A corpse wearing a white shroud was lying in the coffin. Under the weak lighting of the incense, only the corpse looked pale and double opaque eyes, bloodshot, round like dead fish, scary face. Scary. The body radiates an extremely cold, deadly air of air. Sniff. The man took a breath of air. Fortunately, he was prepared. When seeing this face, the calf limped, hastily kneeling down. Bowing his head to bow the previous corpse, trembling, said, "Second pipe, at birth in bed. One person to par, the other again." Always mouth rules of ancestors, not paying attention to rotation, detachment and comedy. Death divided 2 graves. Today, the spirit of the pipe has returned. Deep Dai Bao has ventured to dig pipe and babies up. Return the babies to the pipe. With that said, he took out a sack from his heart, opened the sack. The inside was the body of a child. Deep Dai Bao carried the body of the child on his body, the other girl, then stooped back, knelt on the ground, waiting anxiously. For a moment, there was a scream of a girl crying loudly, resounding intensely in the rain and wind. The female corpse whipped a word from the coffin that jumped out, sat down, held both hands tight, 10 fingers withered like a branch, tied the child behind them, looking Deep Dai Bao. A burst of laughter on the face was extremely strange. Deep Dai Bao, kneeling on his knees, knelt down and said, "Second pipe, I have fulfilled my wish. Then I will help you to fill the grave. The other won't see it. Pray for the second sister for our hardship and satisfaction. Wish for me." After saying, he withdrew from underfoot to 3 incense sticks, approached the female corpse. Smell the incense smoke under the female's chin. His other hand held a copper pot placed under the face of the corpse. The other woman, of course, brought her neck forward, still not moving. coordinating with deep dye valve. The female corpse drips a drop of liquid into the copper pot. 10 minutes later, the perineum full of something. The female corpse wrinkled her eyebrows. Her face showed a respectable attitude, scared. Deep dye valve hurriedly pulled out the incense and copper pot, using a rubber layer thick sealed copper pots, stored in the heart. See the female body slowly lying down on the coffin, holding the baby. His face pleased, his heart dropped loose. Take a deep breath. Second pipe with death. 79 days to complete the form. Death executioner, with revenge. Dye valve closed the lid for the pipe. The pipe is still cultivate yourself well. Quote. 10 minutes later, deep dye valve observed the grave he had covered from the side outside, looking at, not seeing the loophole. This time it took a break, turning around in a hurry, run to the village. 1 month later, at the head of the village, Mr. Deep in the village, deep dye Kong. August caught fire, and in the hottest year, everyone else's house opened wide ventilation, using fans. Only Deep Dye Kong's house was closed and burning 3 stoves. In bed, a corpse of about 5-6 years old, wrapped in cotton blankets. It was so thick. It was freezing so hard that my lips were so pale. My whole body would be cold. My mouth cannot help but moan. Deep Dye Kong stood in the room for a long time, full of sweat, sighing out the door, trying to wipe the sweat and tears from his face. Father, young is. A 20-year-old woman walked up before widening his puffy eyes to Deep Dye Kong. She is the daughter-in-law of Deep Dye Kong, is also the mother of the corpse in the room. Wait for small warrior to come back and then speak. Deep Dye Kong reluctantly shook his head. He has been a healer for several decades, and yet there is no cure for my grandson's disease. Half a month passed. He carried religious death throughout the town, and large and small hospitals in the province, in cities, everywhere have gone through, as a result of not finding any disease. Deep Dye Kong doubted that the religious prince basically had no disease, but he missed it and teased the evil somehow unclean, so there was invited a woman in her hometown to do the law. That seems a little effective. So early today he called his son to the city. The street invited a high man back to the village, saying, his son Deepvin has returned, leading an old man dressed as a Taoist. This guy is. As the chief of the city I invited. I heard about your illness. Yang came here to take a look. Annoyed the chief, Deep Dye Kong joined hands to perform the ceremony, then used the pair eye view from top to bottom, assessing newcomers. This Taoist looked over 60 years old, thin, ugly, eyebrow bowl itself. Triangle eyes directed cells on the old person cannot be older, one wearing a back thick cloth bags. When you enter the house, the pupil has turned to look at everything. Know a little pioneering core. Deep Dye Kong frowned. Earlier this year there were many scams. Fake monks also have. He saw anyway. This old Taoist did not. Maybe it's just about to despair, so anything you wanna try. Already if you come over, give it a try, and immediately you are very hospitable to the old Taoist to the back of the religious room. Story, Mao Son is Peeling Devils. Chapter 2. Opening, the Taoist cut off his hand, then pulled the bench to sit down in the middle of the yard, saying, Amata the theme ton. The Dharma man doesn't even have dinner, or give the monks a little something. Deep Dye Kong was surprised. He quickly ordered his daughter-in-law to make rice, pretending to help. Asked his son to come into the kitchen to ask the old Taoist's identity. I did as you please. Initially came to town looking for a fairy. While eating cake, how he sat at the table with the old Taoist. He glanced at him and looked at him. There's gas. Hearing him say he wants to help us, so we are new lead him back. Deep then came here suddenly. Father, this Taoist? Yes, is it a scam? Deep Dye Kong did not answer, just asked, do you want money? I want it, he said. After the success, give him 5,000. I think saving lives is more important than that, so I agreed. 5,000. At this point, for a rural family, to tell the truth, not a small amount. Any more than just need to be able to save martyrs. Do not say is the year 1000. Even if he wanted the network of Dai Deep, he would give it to him. Deep Dye Kong could not help but frown. Only if he cheated and lost money. If he did not speak, he would delay the time and his illness would be more serious, more important. Embracing the complex sentiments, Deep Dai Kong returned to the yard, brewing 2 cups of tea. Already sat down opposite the old Taoist, had some tea and chatted, wanted to get to know this guru a little bit. As a result, the old master did not answer him. Basically, I just said that my name is Tan Van Tu, from Mao Son. The rest didn't want many words. Deep Dai Kong became more and more skeptical. But it came to this too, only pray for the dead horse to cure it. When the rice was done, Tan Van Tu did not want it and asked Deep Bin running to the liquor store in the village. He bought one of the best wine bottles, one for himself, leisurely eating for an hour, finished clean mouth, stretching, drunk and drunk, footsteps staggering back to the room. Seeing the old man wobbly walk, Deep Dai Kong sighed implicitly. Entering the room, Tan Van Tu glanced at the corpse lying on top of the bed, seeing its pitch-black face and bright red eyes, combined with the narration Deep Bin's front firmly asserted in his heart. He stepped forward, raising his hand to touch the top of the baby's head, using vigor check its 6 organs. Unconsciously trembling, this corpse, yes, the rare celestial spirit. He closely observed the death of the son, the 5 full officers, the steadfast fate, and the high-ranking General Skinny. What a great talent. Enjoy like crazy. Mind with blood rising, he thought to himself that he painted tourism just in time to meet his father of the corpse in a small district. It was vague that he could not go because of search for this baby. Immeasurable Thien Ton, thank Tam Ton for blessing. Mao Son has a benefactor. Black. Tan Van Tu smiled stupidly for a long time, then suppressed his joy. Crazy, continued to examine the body of the corpse, discovering its extremities are cold bones while other parts are hot. Bizarre. He opened to death hand. Indeed, the palm of the hand was black, the skin was horny, very rough to touch. Then, the black color has spread to the child's wrist. Tan Van Tu groaned. Took a handful of sticky rice from his pocket up in his hand. Only here, pale, a noise, green smoke rises. Holding sticky rice, instant turned into solid black. Chief, this is. Deep Dai Kong's father and son were surprised and amazed, asked anxiously. They had just seen the old Taoist performance, throwing away skepticism, thinking that the old Taoist really has high magic power. In his heart stopped, full of hope. Tan Van Tu did not answer, just told Deep Bin to get a big bowl. Then, he was old, also take out a talisman. Use a cinnabar to paint on the charm. A few strokes, gently waving, initiates self-igniting talisman, then puts the ashes in a large bowl, turns the ashes into water. For comedy, death drink. Comedian Tomat suddenly moaned, woke up crying cold. Tan Van Tu told Deep Bin to cover the dead with blankets, coax him to sleep. Later that took out a compass from his pocket, muttering incantations, mantras in his mouth. Copper needles the compass swivels, pointing to the head of the bed. Tan Van Tu walked quickly to the head of the bed, her hands on the side mattress below, unable to find anything. Immediately did not notice the dust crawling under the bed. After, when rummaging for a long time to come out, the spirit is extremely stopped. Mr. Hu liked turning a magic spell to create a red pill and giving it to Deep Bin and saying, take 2 pounds of rinse with 3 mighty kings. A pair of cinnabar mixed with single training chain, dissolved in 2 pounds of warm water. Drink every half hour. For the corpse to drink once, the poison will be deducted. Deep Bin worshipped and hurried to work. Ching Yunzi returned to the yard, sat down on the old bench, then slowly lifting out the wine, he drank it slowly, frowned, and seemed to have heavy feelings. Deep Dai Kong went to bow to pay homage to Tan Van Tu. Just recently saw Tan Yunzi in the room, arranged the dazzling eyes. He completely removed the doubtful. Identify Tan Van Tu as the true Prime Minister. My religion and religion. Can you still save it? Tan Yunzi put down the cup of wine, lifted his head, eyes narrowed into a line, observing him. Do you have any enemies? Enemy? Deep Dai Kong was shocked, shaking his head. I have been the village head for 30 years now, pleading guilty to many people, but the enemies really don't have one. Think about it for a moment. The enemy that wants to put your whole family to death. Deep Dai Kong coldly took a deep breath. In his head quickly show up a long chain of names, then eliminate them one by one. shaking their heads and saying, "Really no, please review the director. My house is full of baccalaureate. I don't dare to accept it. Knowledge understands polite but absolutely never do anything bad." Again, don't know who has the greatest hatred for hate. The story has come to this country. Please religion, please be clear. Tan Van Tu nodded slightly. "Look at the road, you bright. As if there is a little upright." He immediately opened his left hand, and Deep Dai Kong glanced at his palm. His hand. Inside there was a spherical ball, round red and quite wet red. Faintly resembles a bloody platelet. "This is the object that we got from the bottom of the bed of the Crown Prince, which harms his own religion. You become like that." Tan Van Tu shook his head. "This is Tidu Sao, cursed by a user, cursed. About 5 meters away from him would not stop releasing poison. When people being absorbed by it, it will take less than a month to turn into execution. Lose consciousness, actively attack outsiders. Those who get bitten and scratched will disappear into execution. Sun Tzu has been poisoned by the construction of the mind, began to spread outside. You see the hands of your nephew already. Color such black is the characteristic of the person who is being examined." Deep Dai Kong was unsteady, his legs limp, and sat down on the ground. Tears flowed, falling at the foot of Tan Van Tu. "Chief, please and quickly save my religion. There were only one child in my family. This life, it's only me. You stand first." This may be a messy leg, but if the monk met, he would not ignore him. Waiting for Deep Dai Kong to stand up, Tan Van Tu continued, "Of course, you cannot live, but your religious son is." He suddenly thought this must be kept a secret to avoid being transmitted. "Your son has a peculiar body. His cathode poison enters his trigger positive energy in its body. So hot and cold mixed together. If only poison. If you take the regular exam, you won't be able to do it." Tan Van Tu frowned and looked at Tidu Sao in the palm of his hand. Tidu, not all are the same. The owner of Tidu must suddenly die. Deep resentment. Then your crown prince suffered the impact of Tidu Sao and being invaded by a poison to lead to death. Quote. Speaking of which, he suddenly changed his attitude seriously, looking at Deep Dai Kong laughing darkly. "Old man, I'm here to tell you. This world you can save your life as a religious person for no more than 5 people. Fortunately, you will be able to meet Buddhism. This is also my fate in your religious religion. Darkness. Predestined fate." Deep Dai Kong did not quite understand, but still guessing. Tan Van Tu changed the subject. "I have temporarily overcome the poison in your religious person. Now the most important thing is to find the owner of Tidu Sao. A heavy resentment like that, the owner must be a devil, can't keep it." Thought carefully. "Come on. Have you had anyone suddenly die in this half year?" Deep family has just over 10 households, everything big and small in the village. The village chief could not help but know. Deep Dai Kong said, "Yes, one last month in the village we had a pregnant woman who had a difficult pregnancy death. A 2-person death is considered a sudden death or not, to no avail." "What day did she die?" Deep Dai Kong thought of it. "I don't remember clearly, it seems." "Oh right, I remember. She died in July, rather than in Devil, just 14 years old, July." Tan Van Tu said a loud sound in his heart, and hurriedly said, "Quickly bring me her grave." Deep Dai Kong did not dare to delay, leading Tan Van Tu to accompany him the road up the mountain. An hour after both arrived in front of Zhang's grave widows. Xing Yanzi, gas monitoring a bit, silently said, "This grave unusually surprisingly. How inside there are 2 smells of evil spirit. Fun, there are children. Hey, not good, not good. Hurry up, the tomb customs clearance. I want to see what is the end." Deep Dai Kong was awkward. Miss Zhang's wife was half lost years ago. She was born orphaned from the womb, not at home relatives, no one dared to disturb. But if arbitrarily declared exhuming tombs, this is hard for people to say if they let people in the village know. Tan Van Tu angrily shouted, "No declaration, waiting for the exam to form, the whole village, you all must die." Deep Dai Kong was surprised, then realized the serious situation, invited Tan Yanzi, waited a bit, then ran like flying down the mountain. Calling for the people each year, he carried a shovel together to the grave. Which way? Young people who heard Deep Dai Kong explained the general situation, and moreover, Deep Dai Kong promised to handle this well and pled to bear it alone responsible, so they quickly started to dig the grave. During that time, Ton Van Tu took out 5 small flags, in yellow, blue, gray, white, and red colors corresponding to the 5 elements, placing a circle around it. The tomb of Zhang widows at home in wisdom burned a pillar of soul's incense. Now that the tomb was finished, some young people sight the blood-red coffin, unconsciously blood, step back. You guys quickly get back out of the 5 elements, remember carefully. Do not go forward near. Ton Van Tu walked ahead of the grave, feeling the sound of every sound the gas smashed into the face, and could not help but startled. How to a copy? The coffin is thick and the killing intent is still so strong. In the coffin certainly there is heresy. Ton Van Tu glanced at him and discovered that the lid of the coffin had no nails. Spirit elated, holding Pen Sa Chu write the word "sat" in the middle, reciting the spell. Later then his right hand patted the lid of the coffin, shouting aloud, "Run!" The lid of a coffin weighing dozens of pounds was lifted up by an old man and thrown to one side. Deep Dai Kong and some young people curiously moved their heads over to look around, saw a fleeting moment of petrification, astonished for a few seconds. There was a voice still afraid exclaimed, "By God, she has long teeth." In the female's mouth appeared a long line of fangs, not just one, rather than 2 rows. In the sun, there was cold light. Ton Van Tu's eyes glanced over the female contestant, falling onto her stomach. Her face, a great expression, turned her head to glare at you. "Great success," scolded. "Is that a pregnant woman?" "No. It's hard to give birth and die." Deep Dai Kong, startled, said, "Because of her hung. We went to ask the first. The first said that her mother and her children have to be buried far apart, or else there will be ghosts, so they will. I buried her in the graveyard in Shaanxi." Ton Van Tu nodded, lamented, "That person really did not say wrong. Difficult birth if you're dead. Your mother can't stay together to avoid both winnowly, demonic soul disapproved, sealed in the body, long time, absorbing sound gas became the mother and son. Moreover, both of them overcome the demon's delight. Killing intent is too heavy." Deep Dai Kong looked at the 2 terrifying fangs of the female contestant, trembling, and said, "Tea like this." Having passed away 7 and 49 days, the mother and son of the body have been formed, unlike a normal monster. Ton Van Tu's finger pointed woman's belly, "You, 1, close, right in her stomach, 1, brother, baby, newborn female." Someone said, "A girl called me, young me boy called comedy. Ha! Asian." Deep Dai Kong and a crowd of people shouted in panic, How could that be? Is that okay?" Ton Van Tu sighed, "Of course, someone brought this newborn baby. Mom, I buried my body. And only that way can I take advantage of T-Do down here, which is ancient magic. Meow gang. It's unexpected that someone dares to use it. Old man, your house is guilty of this person. It's not that simple." Suddenly raising his head to look at the sky, the view was already at 6 p.m. The sun was about to set. Diving, the day is almost over. Today's customs clearance epilepsy exam must handle before dark, if not you will be left behind. Quickly hurry and prepare me for gas and wood. There are also cinnabar. Hurry up, the faster the better. Deep Dai Kong directed his subordinates. The little children rushed down the mountain, fine items. Deep Dai Kong trembled and asked Ton Van Tu, "Director, the one who said that this mother and son were something to kill, so why didn't they move inching?" Examination, no matter how strong, is somewhat afraid of the sun. But at night, when the yin and yang decay will be extremely unpredictable, it is also difficult to win. Okay. Ton Van Tu pushed Deep Dai Kong to the side, took off a cloth bag, took out one heap of tools. The demonic devils began to arrange the harps. Just arranged. The young people have returned carrying several baskets, wooden firewood, and some gasoline cans. Behind them were villagers chasing after them. "Come here to see the bustling." Deep Bin and his wife were in there. Seeing their faces, Father Deep Bin immediately informed, "Father, Deep Long. He is drinking medicine from after being the leader. It's much better, Mom, to come back to take care of it. Thus I just came here to see if there's anything I can do to help him." Deep Dai Kong heard that Gu Duang had helped much in peace of mind a little, turned to reprimand the young people, who let you go proclaim noisy transmission? Drag a bunch of people here. It's okay, the more people the better. Han Van Tu's eyes showed a excited glance at the crowd. This should not be delayed. He ordered some brave people to move forward sticks on the four sides of the coffin, then poured gasoline on top, then he spread a layer Chu salt, lighting the charm, chanting a spell, and throwing the charm forward. The fire briefly rises. Han Van Tu sat cross-legged in front of the Erhu, raising his voice to recite the Tao, the 30th generation of Mao Shan, Tan Van Tu. Served the decree Professor, High Priest Tam Tan, Lower Minyam, Bich Hoang Tuyen, certificate directing our mind, suppressing the love of evil, purifying the heavens and the continental continent. Before battle, listen to the command, Huyan. Thing Su, let me invite him today to love. While doing the magic, he used fire to increase the pure erection of the Taoist religion, support chemistry training exam. 10 minutes passed, and the coffin burned into a pile of charcoal. But the face of the female contestant inside has not changed, neither has the clothes burned. A white aura of welding sound continued over her body. Spill out, extinguish the fire. Chapter 4, Mirror of the Shorts. The surrounding people could not help but open their eyes wide open. If not, I saw it with my own eyes. Everyone couldn't believe that there was something strange in the daytime. Such karma. Tan Van Tu suddenly stood up, angrily shouted at the female contestant. I have great generosity for your mother and children, and yet you don't know how to repent. The more the tree, the more you dare to oppose the elves, the more I will give you God of destruction. He immediately gripped his finger, urgently drew a few strokes of the pen on the magic sheet, swung his hand. The talisman flew into the fire but was not burned. Directly pasted on the forehead, the female contestant, Han Van Tu's two seals, began to work the magic. She did not emit white gas anymore. The fire began to burn people. First the clothes were burnt, then the skin was burned with fat, making sounds splenic. Skin quickly burned out from white to black-blue veins. Transmutation. Being absorbed by the fire like worms writhing in the middle of a fire-hot flesh, looking very frightened. The whole body trembled, seemingly trying to struggle. Her face also transformation. Grinding, gnashing teeth. 2 eyelids were burned to reveal 2 eyes outside, looking extremely scary and fierce, more than the female devil in the movie Singularity. Some people are so scared to sit down on the ground, lacking a little more pee in pants. The group did not make an appointment, but retreated backwards, many people put together in one place. Cold like a candle. Seeing the female exam is about to be cremated. At this time, something unexpected happened out. A dark cloud came from afar, blocking the sunlight. The whole sky suddenly dark. The mountain wind howled, indicating there was about to be a heavy rain. Tan Van Tu thought silently, did not looked at the sky. Midsummer 9. Suddenly, such a heavy rain is normal. It of course couldn't be done by a female monster. It didn't even have that great force. Real to now is not the time of rain. No sun shines. Relying only on the fire will not hold the body. As expected, the female contestant suddenly squealed a tragic sound, straightening herself up, intending to jump to the fire pit right now. The 5 elements flag is embedded in Tan Van Tu. The 4 sides of the tomb suddenly shook, firing each optical needle entwined, quickly form a net over the grave. The female contestant who touched the net fell down but quickly jumped up, continuing rushing forward, his mouth roaring like a beast. Every cry was stimulating everyone's nerves. No one stepped back now. Everyone was dazed, standing stunned on the spot, watching the female contestant frantically perform. Tan Van Tu did not move, his hands joined, incessantly chanting. He increased the divine power for the 5 elements. He saw the mad woman, but it's only for weak health. If you try it for a little while, then you'll hit it. The fire burned to ashes. He was so close to her stomach, no movement yet. A spooky cry rang out. The female contestant no longer rushed forward. The sharp metal mesh gripped the slot with both hands, trying to tear it open. The massive, extremely fast examination was ripped apart into a hole. Reaching out outside, dared to cruel love, Qing Yunzi shouted loudly, drawing out Algae's sword. This is the wooden sword that exfoliates the demon, the love. To deal with the examination, use this type. Tan Van Tu has tempered algae wood and swords from clay. Peach would beat through 100 years extremely spiritual energy. Qing Yunzi cut to the middle finger, took blood and applied it to algae sword and quickly drawed plagiarism, non-body up, stabbing the left eye with the sword. The female student, her eyes cracked, a blue liquid oozing out, fell on the grass. Trees, just like acids, cause black grass to wither. A powerful wooden sword pierced through the corpse, only to hear a sound bellowing like a violent, relentless black lady. The foam from the sword's greasy body flowed out. Both women tremble, non-stop screaming angrily. Both hands grip the sword's body, causing Tan Van Tu unable to draw the sword. At this moment, there was a sudden turn on the female contestant's round abdomen. There was an hour suddenly twisted, a pale little hand came out from the inside, then a hand other gripping the flesh, ripping apart. A pair of blushing eyes and fangs long slowly show up inside. Immediately, a childish head from its mother's body appeared. Form quickly crawl along the gap of the sharp metal mesh to the outside. He finally appeared when the fire, because the mother's body protected so it was at least unscathed, it was still afraid. Tan Van Tu only glared at him fiercely, then used both hands and feet. Cow extremely speed escape. Not able to spit algae's sword, Tan Van Tu did not dare to let go to prevent the female contestant from dying, but there is still no solution. Hamlet, the people here were in danger. So he took his right hand back and took it out of his sleeve. A pea bronze tried hard to throw him close. Most pea hit him close. Peep, a dark air, he howled so monstrously. Still legs. Cows constantly crawl into the grass. Tan Van Tu's right hand molded resolution. Attorney patted the woman contest, knocked her flying, pulled out the sword of the sword, then vigorously stabbed the throat, incessant mouth chanting. The female contestant sobbed miserably. 10 seconds later, the body stiffened, algae sword plugged into the throat. The body fell backwards, falling into the bonfire. Tan Van Tu hurriedly chased after the fugitive. He was fleeing. The old man weeded out and confronted him. Faces a ridge, see him close to the foot of the mountain. No more catching up. He lightly cut his left thumb, placed it on the sword's body, and raised his mouth. Whisper, Japan Stray Salmon, Heaven and Island Declaration, the infinite wisdom, infinity border. Then threw down the power of the algae sword. Algae sword was like an arrow aimed precisely at his back. He close to trembling a little. Quickly flipped his hand to draw his sword and then continued to run, to get under into the forest at the foot of the mountain. Tan Van Tu relentlessly chased down the mountain, relying on his killing intent. Left on the grass and followed, but now it started to rain. Minutes immediately washed his tracks clean. Heaven won't help me. Tan Van Tu sighed and stamped, stopping. Seeing the sky was dark, and while he was injured, he could still absorb the sound nearby. With full strength to fight the defection, whether to pursue nor also makes sense. Tan Van Tu was disappointed again on the mountain, went to the grave, looked at the female contestant burned to ashes. In a little comfort, the commander buried the body again. To avoid diffuse poisoning, forming pestilence in the village. Chief, there's a corpse. Chief Dai Kong asked in fear. Tan Van Tu sighed, complaining, because I was negligent. The female contestant from the beginning had a body determined to die, so she brought most of the killing intent to him. So my sword of wood cannot kill it, let it run. Exit. Quote dot. AAA. The frightened group looked at each other. Quote dot dot dot. Has it returned to harm people? Deep Dai Kong trembled. It hit one of my swords. It must have been mortally wounded. So maybe one will be found. Refugee, retreat within 3.5 years will not harm people. Hurt a wound and go to 3.5 years. Tan Van Tu rolled his eyelids. It's not a person, can't take what is people to apply on it. Examination has no life expectancy. 3.5 years to it through just a blink of an eye. After 3.5 years. Until then, if it appears, you can contact me. Tan Van Tu breathed. If there is no longer, there is no better way. Immediately walking to the village's people. Although torrential rain poured out, but these people did not dare down the mountain. Each one is waiting for the orders of Tan Van Tu. pushing Yunzi past the crowd. Finally stopping in front of a male more than 350 years old, his eyes like electricity, observing above them, suddenly caught his arm, his right, opened his hand. Only see his thumb and middle finger placed on top belly. There's a faint red stain.